live on YouTube, starting us up on the Rumble. Good morning, hello, and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. This show is about what happened today throughout the annals of recorded history. And before we start, I just want to inform people, this happened actually a couple days ago, but apparently Voyager 1 just phoned home from 24 billion kilometers away on a transmitter not used since 1981. Like, I've been hearing
Oh,
about
wow.
this. Yeah, like, the farthest, Voyager 1, I believe, or Voyager 1 or 2, but I think it's 1. The farthest man-made, thing on record, at least, into space. We've somehow reestablished contact with it. That's crazy.
Cool.
So, but anyway,
Voyager,
let's
that's the one that passed Pluto, isn't it?
a long time ago. Yeah, like I think it got out
Yeah,
of
and
the
then we
Oort
lost
cloud.
contact with it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's wild, man.
yeah. So they don't build things like that anymore these days. Tell you what, you
No,
know.
no, no.
But let's get into the history today. What do we got in November 4th?
Rich RS becomes a bishop of Lee.
Oh, what year was that?
1922.
1922.
Yeah, 922.
Oh, all right. What else do we? Yeah,
Habit of putting ones in front of nines all your life.
yeah, yeah.
1333, flood of the Arno River causing massive damage in Florence as recorded by the Florentine chronicler Giovanni Viviani.
Yeah, we spoke about this yesterday, so I guess the flooding, happened for multiple days and all that stuff. And I just want to reiterate, it's really cool that they actually have the historian, or the chronicler, like not really a historian, but yeah, he became a historian by what he wrote back then over time. But it's really cool that they still have like documented, who wrote it, who chronicled it. So what else do we got?
1429, Joan of Arc and Charles d'Albert liberate on a heavily fortified town of Saint Pierre le Montier after siege.
Yes, and we all know about Joan of Arc. She was a famous French general during the Hundred Years' War. But this specifically was during the Armagnac Burgundian Civil War, which I don't know, if that's affiliated with the Hundred Year War or what, or if she was fighting in multiple conflicts. I mean, Joan of Arc got into the military and all that stuff because of the English, and what they were doing. So I guess this has to be like a war within a war. I'm not sure. Anyway, moving on up to 1529 here, English Cardinal Thomas Wolsey arrested on charges of treason. Whoops. 1576, during the 80 Years' War in Flanders, Spanish defeated Walloon what? The Spanish?
Sorry.
And captured Antwerp, which was nearly destroyed after 3 days.
To Flanders.
Oh, Flanders, okay. Stupid sexy Flanders.
Stupid sexy Flanders.
1645, Prince Frederick Henry conquered Holst, the last major siege of the 80 Years' War. All right. Moving on up, what do we got here?
Massachusetts 1646. Massachusetts uses the death penalty for denying that the Holy Bible is God's word. Holy shit!
That's a bit extreme right there. Yeah, that I got a flashback to the beginning of Hocus Pocus 2, the way they were treating the Sanderson sisters. They pushed them into the arms of the witch.
So, they did.
Yep. This next one here, if you don't mind, I'll read the next couple because we have one right after that that's off of main source. The Teatro di San Carlo, the oldest working opera house in Europe, was inaugurated in Naples, Italy. And that's why I wanted to read this one as well, because there is some other things from some other sources that added to this here. 1791, during the Northwest Indian War, the Western Confederacy of the American Indians won a major victory over the United States in the Battle of Wabash. All right. So they got some victories, and that's good. Well, I mean, there's always Custer's Last Stand, the Battle of Little Bighorn, and all that stuff. But yeah, this was like a legitimate, victory and all that stuff. Because if Custer had taken, his Gatling guns, which we're actually going to be talking about here in a minute, the outcome would have been vastly different. What do we have here?
In 1819, Maori chiefs Hoingi, Haika, and Rewa sell 13,000 acres at Cherokee to the Church Missionary Society for 48 filling axes, New Zealand.
So essentially, kind of akin to how you know, whoever it was, I think it was the Dutch, because Dutch made New Amsterdam, which made New York. But the whole the thing about when the Native Americans sold us Manhattan Island for like a packet of beans or whatever the heck it was. They literally gave them like axes, like wood, felling axes to cut trees down. 48 of them for 13,000 acres to a church missionary. So that's an unfair trade right there.
1839, the Newport Rising is the largest scale armed rebellion against authority in mainland Britain.
Oh wow! So a little bit of a like uprising, almost a civil war or a revolution there. So, 1841, the first wagon train arrived in California way after a 5.5 month, 1,730-mile journey over the Sierra Nevada from Missouri. Wow. Yeah. Try to get anybody to do something like that today. No, they don't want to. Like, yeah. People were a lot stronger back then, Oh.
Physically and mentally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you need hardships in life to, grow inside and out.
Yeah, that whole thing about strong men.
Yeah, the cycle. Strong men create good times create weak men create hard times create strong men. Yeah. We are on the leading edge of the knife of strong men, though, our generation, Sir King.
Yeah.
So, and actually, it's kind of unprecedented for the first time, really, because the loon makes us a point every now and then. He is awestruck that the youth today are more conservative. Usually, they're more like liberal and stuff, with their mentalities and dispositions and whatnot. But no, they're becoming more conservative. They're getting fed up with the crap at an early age. So, we're seeing the start of the tipping. 1845, we have the first nationally observed uniform election day in the United States, the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November. I wish it was still the same thing. I actually voted yesterday with a loon at our coffee spot. We went up to the library, and they have a little polling thing there. So we had our coffee, and then we went and voted. So would have rather voted on Tuesday at our usual place, but yeah. So. Have you voted yet? Just by you don't have to answer if you don't want to. So
I am voting November 5th.
All right, good.
Tomorrow.
I only vote when he votes, and he didn't know because we've been having a lot of medical stuff and all this, but that's a whole story. Let's get back into the history here. What do we got in 1846?
American inventor Benjamin Palmer from Meredith in New Hampshire repatents the artificial lake.
All right. That's a way to put your best foot forward there. Hold on a second. I have to...
That's the earliest?
Yeah, this is when he patented the artificial lake. So there could have been, peg legs were way before that, so...
Yeah.
This is when it was actually just, copywritten and all that legal crap, so... Pardon me. Off a main source here, 1847, Sir James Young Simpson, a Scottish physician, discovered the anesthetic properties of chloroform. I wonder how he figured that out.
Hey, what's it smell like?
I'm going to put this on a rag and see what it smells like.
Wake up hours later.
Yeah, he wakes up like, what just happened? And why do I feel woozy? Like, where'd my pants go? Someone took my wallet. 1852, Count Camillo Benzo di Cavour became the Prime Minister of Piedmont, Sardinia, which soon expanded to become Italy. Oh, all right. That sounds like part of the reform under Giuseppe Garibaldi there. 1854, a lighthouse was built on Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay. Probably when it was still, yeah, well, this was just before the Civil War, so it was still under military control. And Alcatraz used to be a fortress, and then it became a military prison, and then it became the prototype of what we know today as a supermax. It was the very first supermax prison, before things were purpose built. Yeah, yeah, no, like a lot of things, were tested and all that stuff, and because of the isolation, it out being in there in the bay and the horrible currents and all that whatnot, like it's technically the world's first supermax prison. I have no idea what you're doing because you moved your camera up, but I have 1856 if you want to take it, or I can keep going.
James Buckingham elected 15 U.S. president.
All right.
I'm sorry, 1861, University of Washington, founded in Seattle.
All right. Oh, and here we go. As I mentioned earlier, this contraption.
1862, American inventor Richard Jordan Gatling patents the hand-craned Gatling machine gun in Indianapolis.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that's arguably one of the first, if not the first, machine gun. Oh, this was back in the days where even before, like the multi-shot rifle, like the whole thing you shoot and you do this like to reload. I think this was before that. Like, I'm not sure the early history of semi-automatic fire. But what else do we got here? 1864, the Battle of Reynoldsburg Island / Johnsonville, near Johnsonville in Tennessee. Confederate troops bombarded Union supplies and the fleets, destroying millions of dollars in material, including 4 gunboats. Whoa, that's not good. 1866, Kingdom of Italy annexed Venetia. Venetia? Sounds about right. Part of the, the reunification of Italy and all that jazz. 1867, 90 kegs of gunpowder. So not kilograms, but kegs, like barrels, 90 kegs of gunpowder used to get rock from Telegraph Hill, San Francisco for seawall. So I guess like they blew apart a bunch of stuff and like, just made it into a seawall. So it sounds like. What do we got here?
Oh, I got you. 1873, Dennis John Beers of San Francisco patents the gold crown.
Yeah. So if you've ever had a crown, or specifically a gold crown, dentistry, think of John Beers, who first patented it. Obviously not a patent anymore, since you can get it to a lot of places. Although maybe if it is patented, he gets royalties. I mean, like, no idea.
1875, Massachusetts Rifle Association is founded in Boston.
All right. I wonder if they're still around today. Massachusetts Rifle Association, home. Okay, Mass Rifle. I'm all for Mass Rifle. Yeah, they're still around, looks like. Awesome. We got another 1875.
1875, passenger steamship Pacific collides with the sailing vessel Orpheus off Cape Flattery, Washington. 236 die. Oh,
yikes.
My goodness.
That's not good. It's very not good because we have a steamship colliding with a sail ship, so it's just like, yeah, they're not used to those speeds really quite yet. While that was happening, Tonga adopted a constitution. That's pretty cool. 1879, U.S. inventor Thomas Elkis patented the refrigerating apparatus. Cool. That's really cool. Refrigeration and all that stuff. Let's see here. We also have, while he was patenting that, James Ritty patented the first cash register to combat stealing by his bartenders in a saloon in Dayton, Ohio. So he had some less than reputable employees, and just to make sure everything was on the up and up, he invented the cash machine. That's pretty cool. Cash register. 1884, Grover Cleveland, a Democrat, defeated James G. Blaine, a Republican, for his first presidential term. He is the only U.S. president to serve 2 consecutive terms. I'm not sure about that. Like, it tells me here, look up
What?
2 non-consecutive terms U.S. president. He cannot be the only one. Grover Cleveland. Well, it's just. Well, apparently he is. Well, in a couple days here, he won't be the only one anymore. So. Bazing.
Cross
Yeah.
your fingers.
Yeah. One can only dream, though. I mean,
Pray is a better word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he's not, then this is going to be the last elections we'll ever hold in this country, tell you that much. What do we got here in 1889?
1889 Players League begins declaring independence from baseball's National League.
All right. And the National League is still around, and the Player League is not, so that does not, go well for them.
1890, Great Britain proclaims Zanzibar as a protectorate.
So colony.
Hmm.
Yeah.
1890 again, Prince of Wales opens first underground station at Stockwell, South London.
Yep, this is the first deep level tube railway, and it connected Stockwell to William Street, in City and South London Railway. All right. Moving on up into the next century.
1903, Panama and Colombia wake up to news that insurrectionists have declared war and independent of Republic of Panama.
That's some way to wake up. Good morning! A new country emerged. What?
Ooh, what?
Have some coffee. 1904, the first stadium built specifically for football. I guess finished construction or started construction or something involving it. Harvard Stadium. So, if anyone could figure out, if this is the groundbreaking and this is when construction started, and if this is when it ended, if this is when it opened, if this is when a game was held, there's so many ways this can be taken. That requires some digging that we don't have time to do on the show, I don't believe. So if anybody, once again, wants to answer this question, let us know in the comments section. 1905, a dock strike against importing grain elevators in Rotterdam. So they did not want to import grain elevators, which would make sense. You want to make them domestically. Keep jobs at home, trade with other countries, but keep the manufacturing at home, So stop with this China crap. The whole world needs to figure that out. 1910, Brooklyn Academy of Music opened in New York City. All right. And then what do we got here in 1910?
1910, Russian Tsar Nicholas II visits German Emperor William II at Potsdam. They forced tentative agreements on spheres of influence in the Middle East.
Same old playbook, man.
Middle East.
The Europeans, need to get their fingers out of the sand in the Middle East. Stop drawing borders. Let them figure it out themselves. Just stay focus at home. Yikes. What else do we got?
1910, start of South Africans' first FC game in Australia. It rained.
I'm not sure if it was Australia or Austria. It just says
Yeah,
it is both. Australia, though. So, yeah, it is. Australia. Yeah, I just looked it up here. Versus Australia. So, yeah. All right, we answered that question really quick. 1911, France and Germany signed a treaty about Morocco and Congo. So more of this African colony stuff happening. 1914, Vogue held the first model show known as Fashion Feet in New York City. All right. Well. 1918, the Allied armistice with Austria-Hungary signed November 3rd went into effect. The armistice of Villa Gustiti. All right. Moving on up to 1921, we have a couple of them for you here. Oop.
1921, Japanese Prime Minister Takashi is assassinated by a right-wing fanatic in Tokyo.
Yikes. And here we go.
In 1921, the Sturmbannteilung, or SA, the Brown Shirts, is formally established by Adolf Hitler.
Yep. And like it's really unfortunate because we all know brown shirts are not good, and all that stuff. But then I think of UPS, and like what can Brown do for you? And then that saying there as well might be potentially racially insensitive. So I'm wondering, but that's last we checked, that's still their slogan and all that stuff. So I don't know. And we have an off of main source here, another 1921. The Saalschuch Abteilung, the Hall Defense Detachment of the Nazi Party, was renamed the Sturmbannteilung, the Storm Detachment, after a large riot in Munich. And that shares the name with this, the brown shirt, so these two articles coincide here. What do we got here in 1922? This is really big.
1922, Howard Carver rediscovers the intact tomb of Pharaoh Tutankhamun in Egypt.
Yep. British archaeologist Howard Carter and his men, they rediscovered the entrance at this specific, date and time. It took like a couple days to several weeks or whatever, however long it took to fully uncover it and get in and explore and all that stuff. But this is when they first discovered the entrance, and King Tut became incredibly famous because of all the treasures and all the stuff we can learn from all that and whatnot. But the main reason is because of all the loot. Like as the saying goes, the pyramids are still in Egypt because they're too big for the Brits to take them over back to the UK. But they just they stripped that tomb bare, down to the paint. So, but we got something here, a couple somethings. 1 century ago.
1924, California legalized professional boxing, illegal since 1914.
All right, so after about a decade, they re-legalized it. All right.
Another 1924, Calvin Coolidge is elected to a full term as President of the United States, defeating Democrat candidate John W. Davis.
All right, Calvin Coolidge. I remember the name. I don't know if I like him or not, but I remember him. And Un Mas.
Another 1924, Miriam Ma Ferguson, one of the first 2 women elected U.S. Governor of Texas. See also Nellie Taylor Ross of Wyoming.
Yeah, and the next one is, Nellie Taylor Ross is one of the first 2 women elected U.S. Governor for Wyoming. So we have a Texas and a Wyoming woman governor, and they both share. Isn't that interesting? They both share the title of the first woman, but there's 2 of them. So it's like I'm the first half woman. Wait a minute, that's something else today. Yeah. Another 1924, Stanley Baldwin became British Prime Minister for a second time after a landslide victory over Ramsay MacDonald's Labour Party. Normally I wouldn't put that in, but because it's 1 century ago, I try to put in all the articles I can. 1928, U.S. gangster Arnold Rothstein was shot at a business meeting for reputedly refusing to pay gambling debts, and he died 2 days later on the 6th of November. Never joined the mafia. Yeah. 1928, Titanic Thompson participated in a high-stakes poker game that led to the murder of Arnold Rothstein. Wait, what? What? I just got educational whiplash here. How do we go from participating in a poker game to murder? That is intense. So, let's see if I can find it. 1928. Yeah, he was involved in a high-stakes film. It was then called the crime of the century. The following year, he testified in the trial of George McManus, who was charged with Rothstein's murder, but later acquitted. So, wow. So this turned into a huge hoopla. It all started with a poker game.
Hoopla!
It's crazy. Hoopla!
You remember.
Somebody's going to throw a brick at my head. Of course I remember. I'm a menagerie of useless, useful information.
Oh, yes.
Especially
I forget.
um, Easter eggs, or
These are
what's the other
phrases.
words?
Phrases?
References. Oh,
References, yeah.
yeah. What do we got here in 29?
1929, Richard E. Buried, Lawrence McKinley Gould, and their polar expedition team begins a 2.5 month, 1,500-mile long dog sled journey into the Queen Maud. Oh, Maud out. I'll try that again. Dog Seas journey into the Queen Maud Mountains, the first exploration of an interior of Antarctica.
Dang.
Woo!
Yeah. And now, since you put that in my head, I have to just play a little bit of this. There we go. I had to see him get knocked out. What else do we got here?
"1933, Bulgarian communist Georgy Dimitrov defends himself and the ideology of communism against Hermann Goring and his Nazi accusers on charges of setting the Reichstag on fire."
Mm-hmm. So, like, the whole hoopla about that, I'm not going to play that clip again, but is that the Nazis intentionally set fire on the Reichstag, essentially their Capitol building, um, in Berlin, Germany, and then blamed it on the communists to increase anti-communist sentiment and, make people more supportive of the Nazis and all that stuff. So, we got another 33 here.
1933, Young Park in the Bronx named in honor of James Young.
All right, that's nice. I don't know what the one is. Is that like the address or something? Oh.
Mm.
1 year later, after posting 7 straight shutouts to start the NFL season, Detroit Lions beat Pittsburgh 40-7 at the University of Detroit Stadium, scored upon for the first time of the season, rushed for NFL single game record 426 yards. That's impressive. And actually, oh yeah, here we go. It is going correctly chronological. 1939, and this is our thumbnail is such. The first air-conditioned automobile, a Packard, exhibited in Chicago, Illinois. So, what used to be a luxury. Can you imagine driving without an AC? Whew. Through the desert? And back in the old hand crank days, like I have a picture in a book of some people wearing head to toe, full leather robes and all that stuff because you had to hand crank the thing, the engine, put water in the stuff. You don't want the boiling water to hit your skin, so you wear long driver gloves and it's freaking 98 degrees outside, sun just leaning on you, out in Nevada or wherever the hell. Crazy. 39 as well. During World War II, U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the United States Customs Service to implement the Neutrality Act of 1939, allowing cash and carry purchase of weapons by belligerents. I don't support that. That's basically, allowing cash and carry purchases of weapons by belligerents. So allowing belligerents to buy weapons outright if they have the cash to buy it right on hand. That almost seems like Operation Fast and Furious right there. I guess that's more of for the war thing, so they can sell stuff to Germany while still being an enemy. What do we got in 1940? Mike?
Eggs and cake ration in the Netherlands.
Oh no, not my cake! Oh,
I know, right?
yeah. And
eggs?
I'm going to take this next one here because I have more meat on this article. During World War II, General Field Marshal Erwin Rommel disobeyed a direct order by Adolf Hitler, beginning a retreat of his Afrika Korps forces after a costly defeat during the Second Battle of El Alamein. This retreat ultimately lasted for 5 months. How does it take so long to retreat? 5 months. But, yeah.
42.
Yeah, true. And also, you don't want to just up and go because then they'll chase you. You gotta I don't know. It's tactics. I'm not really good with them. Back to you, good sir.
1946, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization formed.
UNESCO. So whenever you hear
Mm.
about, UNESCO heritage site, UNESCO this, UNESCO that, like how we've spoken about the baguette being a UNESCO heritage thing
Mm.
nowadays, this is when it started, on this date in 46. But then 2 years later,
1948, American humorist Will Rogers commemorated by U.S. Postal Service on a 3-cent stamp.
nice. And 1948 as well.
American-born British poet T.S. Eliot wins Nobel Prize for Literature.
Yeah, they mentioned T.S. Eliot in Spider-Man, like with Tobey Maguire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 1949, One Man's Family premiered on the TV in the U.S. after running as a radio show since 1932. Wow. Another example of transferring from radio to television. 1950, U.S. troops vacated Pyongyang in North Korea during the Korean War. And probably were getting pushed back from Chinese forces and such. 1951.
1951, New York Giants and New York Yanks score back-to-back touchdowns on kickoff returns.
Nice. And perfect. If you want, you can get the name of the century here.
1951, Vijay Merchant scores 154 versus England in his last Test cricket innings.
That name alone almost makes it worth reading a cricket article. Like he missed such an opportunity with that name to get into a very specific and niche industry. Not really niche though, but yeah, like he could have been a pimp. He could have been the pimp. I mean, like a pimp named Slipback would have to bow to him, with a name like that, like because he would literally be a merchant of that. Yeah. What else do we got? I'm going to hell.
1952, Republican candidate Dwight D. Eisenhower is elected president of the United States, defeating Democratic candidate Adia Stevenson.
All right. We have a comment here from Jacob Peach. Rama was in Africa, so that probably extended said retreat for a bit. Long drive back to the fatherland. Yeah. The Desert Fox. We got a off a main article or main source here. 1952 as well. The United States government established the National Security Agency, aka NSA. Boo!
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 Boo! NSA! Boo!
Boo!
We gotta abolish that as well. So. Oh, hey, we're getting joined by.
The Golden Loon.
Welcome to the show.
Hey!
You came in just in time. We just read an article from 1952 in which it is the birthday of the establishment of the NSA.
NSA, huh?
National Security Agency. Yeah. G. So, yeah, I agree. We got some baseball here for good Sir King with his Kansas City Chiefs hat.
1953, new baseball bulk
That's
rule gives
Bach.
the batter Bach.
I don't know if it's spelled like that. I pronounce it Bach. A Bach
Okay.
is what a pitcher does on the mound incorrectly.
Oh, okay.
Gives the batter the option of accepting the outcome of the pitcher or the balk.
So what does this mean? So new baseball Bach rule or Bach whatever rule gives the batter the option of accepting the outcome of the pitch or the balk. So if he balks, the batter can say it's not valid or something.
I never knew of a choice in this thing, but if a pitcher he has certain rules he has to follow. If he steps off the mound incorrectly, like steps forward instead of on the backside of the rubber, then it's called a balk, and it becomes a ball to the batter, and anybody on base advances a base.
I thought it had something to do with chickens and them getting way too cocky.
Balk.
Yeah. He's pitching like a rooster,
But I never heard of the choice part of it.
Huh. I'm going to take 1956 because I have more meat on this here. 200,000 Russian troops entered Hungary to end the Hungarian Revolution against the Soviet Union, which started back on October 23rd in Budapest. Thousands were murdered, with even more injured, and nearly 250,000 others fled the country. 250,000. Oh.
Strong arm of the Russians moving in.
Yep.
Don't want dissent.
Nope.
Even though they hated having the Russians there. They were occupied.
Yep. What do we got here?
Ernie Banks.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. You don't hear him often.
In 1959, Ernie Banks, Cubs shortstop, wins second consecutive NL MVP.
All right. Heck yeah, he does. Ooh, historic discovery.
1960, Mary Leakey and Louis Leakey discover first Homo habilis jaw fragment 087 at Olduvai Gorge, Tanzania.
All right, Homo habilis. Let's take a look at this here. Oops, that is the wrong Homo habilis. I forgot to copy that. Copy. Paste. There we go. Homo habilis. The handyman. Oh, okay. It's an extinct species of archaic human from the early Pleistocene of East and South Africa, about 2.3 million years ago to 1.65 million years ago. Mia. Upon species description in 1964, H. habilis was highly contested, with many researchers recommending it to be synonymized with Australopithecus africanus, the only other human hominin known at the time. So they were trying to lump up this with another subspecies, but it was its own. So,
yeah.
Interesting. I have another off-of-main source here. At the Kashkala chimpanzee community in Tanzania, Dr. Jane Goodall observed chimpanzees creating tools, the first ever of such an observation in non-human animals. You know, and now, they are considered by a lot of mainstream scientists even that chimpanzees are officially in the Stone Age. You know? So we have another, intelligent species, vying up.
Yeah.
I would argue that that dolphins, would be in the Stone Age if only they had hands. But, they are incredibly intelligent and,
Yeah. They certainly are.
I would argue they're more intelligent than humans because they know how to exist in their world without having to bend it to their will. 1961. What do we have here?
1961, American folk singer songwriter Bob Dylan makes his Carnegie Hall, New York City debut. New tickets sell for $2.
$2 a ticket. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah.
Even in 61, that was cheap.
Yeah. 1962, United States concluded Operation Fishbowl at Johnston Island, its final above-ground nuclear weapons testing series in anticipation of the 1963 Partial Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. No, and it was an atmospheric
Shouldn't that
test.
be below ground or?
No, atmospheric test is above ground.
Okay, yeah.
So, no, we could still blow them up underneath ground because now they're underground.
Yeah.
They're not going into the air and all that stuff.
The atmosphere.
But it's just as worrisome about it going into the groundwater now. So at least it's only one option instead of both. 1963, John Lennon uttered his famous quip at a Royal Variety performance. Yep. Quote, "For our last number, I'd like to ask your help. The people in the cheaper seats clap your hands, and for the rest of you, if you'll just rattle your jewelry," end quote, at the Prince of Wales Theatre in London. Yeah, well.
I thought it was going to be the quote when he said, "We're more popular than God."
Jesus, no.
Jesus.
We've already gone over that earlier this year. So.
Okay.
Now, it might have been after 63, but,
right.
it's a different date. Yeah, that's a pretty funny clip, quip right there,
Yeah.
1966, I'm going to read this here because I have more meat on this as well. The Arno River flooded Florence, Italy to a maximum depth of 6.7 meters, which is 22 feet deep, leaving thousands homeless and destroying millions of masterpieces of art and rare books, with 113 deaths. And I would argue all the works of art, is more of a disaster than a death, but that's hard to figure out, Venice was also submerged on the same day at its record all-time Aquita Alta of 194 centimeters or 76 inches.
Yeah, but I never put things on the same level as humanity.
Yeah, but product of humanity, like lives come and go, but what you do in this world and leave behind, if done right, will stay forever. And these works of art are things done that are going to be gone forever.
Still just stuff.
Well, anyway, what do we got here in 1967?
1967, British rock band Pink Floyd made its U.S. live debut, sharing the bill with the Big Brother and the Holding Company, the singer-songwriter Richie Havens, and the Winterland Auditorium, San Francisco, California.
Big Brother was the original band that Janis Joplin sang with.
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Huh. Trying to find it. Here it is.
Medium interest. 1968. Northern Ireland Prime Minister Terence O'Neill meets with Prime Minister Harold Wilson for talks on Northern Ireland. Wilson states no change of the constitutional position of Northern Ireland possible without consent of the people.
Well, who's tallying consent of the people? The people might have consent, but if the government says that, the voting says otherwise, and then, just free Ireland, guys. Come on. 1970, this is rough. Jeannie, a 13-year-old feral child, was found in Los Angeles, California, having been locked in her bedroom by her father for most of her life. One of these.
I hate that stuff. I hate that.
I do too, but we have to,
Yeah, no,
it's gross.
Part of unfortunately, our history as a species.
Mm-hmm.
Small part of it, but it's still there.
70 as well, Russian nuclear physicist Andrei Shakharov formed a human rights committee. Okay, that sounds pretty good. I mean, nuclear physicists know the dangers of they're usually reputable people. So, yeah.
That's a broad term, though, so it doesn't. You really don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Then again, Doc Brown was a nuclear physicist, and he was best friends with a 16-year-old. That's a little, concerning. I don't know what to think about
thought of it that way.
Yeah. Oh, hey, come by after school. Come into my garage, and then let's play around with some devices. I don't know what to think about that. 1970 as well, off of main source, Salvador Allende took office as president of Chile, the first Marxist to become president of a Latin American country through open elections. Allende was not a good person, right?
I'm not familiar with him, but as a Marxist, I'd say no.
Yeah.
Go on the safe side and say no.
Yeah. 1972, I Can See Clearly Now, The Rain Is Gone. Single by Johnny Nash began a 3-week run on the top of the charts. All right. 1972, what do we have here?
1972, Bangladesh adopts a constitution. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, we get to talk
Also,
about your people this time.
Also in 1972, Kings score 3 goals within 45 seconds against the Islanders. How the hell is that
45
possible?
seconds.
3/4 of a minute. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, they're called the Kings. That's why.
I wonder if it was at the end of the game when it's an open net or something.
I don't know.
And they pull the goalie,
Yeah. Unmas, 73.
1973, Chicago Center Stan Mikita registers his 1,000th NHL career point in the Blackhawks' 5-3 loss to Minnesota North Stars at the Met Center, Bloomington, Minnesota.
Oh man, if there ever was an Alice article, well, there's a lot of Alice articles, but that was one of them. 1,000 points.
Yeah, it's always a shame when you do a record like that, but it was a loss.
Yeah. There's a lot of things like that. Like a lot of people have gotten their record for this, for that, but it was lost. You know, all in NBA, NFL, NHL,
all the
over.
time.
I'm telling you firsthand that we've reported on a lot of these articles and everything. But, hey, at least you got a record. You know, it's a loss, but you know you got your 1,000 points.
Yeah.
So, 1973, New Orleans Saints first shutout victory, 13-0 versus Buffalo Bills. Whoa. 73 as well. The Netherlands experienced the first car-free Sunday caused by the 1973 oil crisis. Highways were deserted and were solely used by cyclists and roller skaters. That must have been a trip. Like,
yeah.
I tell you what, during the pandemic and all the lockdowns in 2020, when I was a Grubhub and Postmates driver and all that stuff, you know, like hearing, you know, people from over here driving to LA in 20 minutes was mind blowing, you know. And like, remember when I went through that pass over there, like not Carbon Canyon, but the other one down south. You know, that connects us to Riverside.
Okay.
All that stuff. Open.
Yeah.
Usually that's packed for miles.
Yeah.
That was so trippy. Oh.
It was a weird time for sure, especially for traffic. Very strange.
Yeah. What else do we got here?
First mass market free agent recently drafted Reggie Jackson, Joe Judith, Gillette, Terrence Fingers, Bayer, Grinch, and McCarvey available in 1976.
Yeah. So first mass market free agency re-entry. So all these people were available to get bought, right? You know, they were free agents and all that stuff. So they're kind of like mercenaries of baseball, essentially. You know, they're bats for hire, right?
To the highest bidder, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives them a bigger paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. You know, that's the whole point. What else do we have?
1977, UN Secretary Council proclaims weapon embargo against South Africa.
So the UN straight up is telling its underlings, all the people, all the other countries within the UN's jurisdiction, to unanimously boycott South Africa or embargo South Africa because of that. Like we were talking earlier, like how much power should certain things have versus do they have, you know, and all that stuff. Like, you know, I don't know. That's a whole conversation. 78 Iranian troops fired on anti-Shah student protesters by Tehran University. Well, that's not good.
Anti-Shah.
Yeah.
So the Shah was still around then.
Yeah. Well, as soon as your police or military start firing on your own citizens, you're in the wrong. Doesn't matter anything else. You know, those are your citizens.
Fairly shortly after that. I don't know how long he stayed in power.
Good. He should be.
Yeah, compared to what they have now, I don't think it's better.
Well, you know, at least they tried, and that's better than sitting there and accepting the oppression that you have. So, 1978, Islanders started a 15-1-5 game undefeated streak, 12-0-3. So 12 wins, 0 losses, and 3 ties. So they're undefeated though.
Yep.
79, 500 Iranian college students loyal to Ayatollah Khomeini seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, taking 90 hostages for 444 days, starting the Iran hostage crisis.
Yeah, that was huge.
Yep, well, you know.
Really huge.
Well, 90 hostages for well over a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in the embassy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they stormed the embassy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 1980, what do we have?
1980, Libyan invasion in Chad.
Oh, no. That's not good. Oh.
What was that again? No.
Libya invaded Chad.
You
know, the two countries in Africa.
Yeah.
Oh. I was going to make a joke because, you know, I know a couple people named Chad. It's like, oh, like when you got invaded by Libyans? Oh. Once again, Doc Brown, the Libyans found him. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know how, but they found me. 1980, ooh, a big one here.
Republican candidate Ronald Reagan is elected president of the United States, defeating incumbent Democrat U.S. President Jimmy Carter by a landslide.
All right.
Yeah.
Yep. We were talking about
right
this.
after that, the Iranians released the hostages.
Oh yeah, the whole Iran-Contra affair. Yeah.
they kept him until he came into power. Then when he came into power, they immediately released him.
Yeah, because they knew they were going to get screwed. So,
1980, Tadahara, Ohio.
no, just
Right?
O. That's their
Oh,
last name.
Tadahara, 40 pro baseball of all time, HR run king with 868 retires.
That's a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's been beaten by now. That was 80, so that was 54 years ago. No, 44. I added a decade. Whoops. It's 2024, not 2034.
True.
Whoops. So, once again, I
I'll be
can't
back.
math. So, 1981, we have Dr. George Nicolopoulos was acquitted of over-prescribing addictive drugs for Elvis Presley.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yep. Now, this is another name. We had somebody else. It was a cricket article, by the way, but
Oh, I missed it. Darn.
but his name was Vijay Merchant. Vijay Merchant. I'm intentionally mispronouncing the first name a little bit. Vijay.
Okay,
You know.
I got you.
And then now we have Ruud Lubbers. That became a Dutch premier. Okay, but Ruud Lubbers. Ruud Lubbers.
I don't know.
It sounds like a Steely Dan situation there. 1983, Warner Brothers Records released Hearts and Bones, the sixth studio album by U.S. singer-songwriter Paul Simon.
Yeah.
I think I put that in there because you might remember Paul Simon or something. I don't know.
I remember Paul Simon.
Okay.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Simon and Garfunkel?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so he's Simon.
He's
Okay.
Simon, yeah.
Okay.
And then he had his own career after that.
Yeah. Okay. 1984, funk rocker Prince opened his Purple Rain tour, featuring his new band, The Revolution, with the first of 7 shows at the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, Michigan. All right, Purple Rain, great song.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Prince, great artist. So.
Yeah.
84, Nicaragua held its first free elections in 56 years. Sandinistas won with 63%. Sandinistas, okay. All right. First free election in 56 years. That's one hell of a drought right there.
Yeah.
87, Lisa Steinberg battered into coma by her adoptive father, Joel. Wow. Oh. Well, Joel Steinberg beat the hell out of his stepdaughter into a coma. That's absolutely disgusting.
It is.
I mean,
I don't know who she is, but
yeah. I mean, we were talking about that feral child earlier in this episode. That was found. The 13-year-old found. Locked in the house.
Yeah.
And then the other day we were talking about that woman who drowned her 2 kids in the car and everything.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, what is wrong with people? 1988, first NBA game at Charlotte Coliseum. Hornets lost to Cavaliers. Cavaliers.
Yeah, Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay.
They call them the Cavs for short.
Okay, so Cavalier. If I even have that spelled correctly, I don't think I do.
Cavaliers?
Yeah.
Cavaliers.
133 to 93.
Blowout, 40 points.
Yeah. 89, Alexander Platz demonstrated for political reforms to draw over 500,000 people in East Berlin, a significant event that would aid into the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
That was so huge.
Yeah, I got to see. I've been trying to see if they're up on YouTube yet. The Reagan movie that came out this year, Scenes.
Yeah.
But there's no scenes yet. But I just want to see that one scene where the camera's panning and zooming in. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. That was.
Writers and people didn't. No, you can't say that. You
Yeah.
can't say that. So they made him take it out of the speech, but he put it back in anyway.
Yeah.
One of the greatest things he ever did.
Mm-hmm. 1989, first NBA game at Orlando Arena. Orlando Magic lost to New Jersey Jets. Sorry. Not even Jets. The Nets. Why can't I read?
Nets. Yeah.
NJ Nets. New Jersey Nets.
There is the New York Jets, but that's football. This is basketball.
I don't need your help being confused. 1989, the Congress of the Solidarity Party is inaugurated in Sweden. The Congress decided, contrary to the proposal of the Central Committee not to disband the party. All right. 1990, Iraq stated it was preparing for a dangerous war because, gee, that's exactly what you want your potential enemies to know, that you're preparing to fight them.
Yeah.
You're stupid. Well, it was
well,
a dangerous
war isn't dangerous. What?
A thumb war?
Yeah.
Well, even then that could end up in some fisticuffs, Like, oh, you cheated.
Escalate.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, the turtle move, is illegal. So, you know what turtle is, right?
No.
Here, let me just show you. Like, we have normal thumb war.
Yeah.
Turtle. And then he used sneak attack. I'm pretty sure that's illegal. So, 1991, Emilia Marcos returned from exile to the Philippines and was arrested the next day for tax fraud and corruption. Soon released on $6,400 bail. Yeah, that was Shoe Lady, right?
Yeah. All the shoes.
Yeah. Taxpayer-funded shoes. So, talk about literally stepping on your people.
Her husband pretty corrupt, I guess.
1991, Mideast Peace Conference ended in Madrid, Spain. And that was over Israel and Palestine and all that stuff. Oh, Pete's has another comment here. No, Khamenei is not better than the Shah. So
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Ayatollah Khomeini, that was the problem.
Yeah, well, at least they tried,
No.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're still there. And the poor people of Iran are really...
Well, then maybe they should have another revolution.
They try to, but they keep stifling them.
Well, try again. 1992, New York Giants announced they will quit WNEW radio after 32 years of WOR. What? What is the
radio? I guess. New
Yeah.
York Giants announce
they will quit? So that's
one radio
obviously
station
a station
going to another.
Yeah. Okay. 1993, Bolivia became a member of the Berne Convention Copyright Treaty. All right. 93 as well, Elton John was awarded $518,700 from Sunday Mirror for a false report on his diet. Wow, you gotta be a drama queen to be. Oh my God, they misgendered my diet, and I deserve $500,000 in settlement. Like, who cares about your diet, Elton?
Hey, if I could pull it off, I'd go for it. $500,000? Okay, let me complain.
Talk about a frivolous lawsuit right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Britain still has one queen. So, 94, San Francisco, first conference that focused exclusively on the subject of the commercial potential of the World Wide Web took place. Ooh, www. Like, whenever you go to any website, www dot whatever, that's what it, dot.
Yeah.
World Wide Web.
Yep.
94, United Center in Chicago opened. Bulls beat Charlotte Hornets 89-83. Right, we've been getting a lot of stadiums. Yesterday we had like a bunch.
Yeah, I remember that.
3, on the same day. Yeah, we got another one here in '95. The Key Arena opened in Seattle. Supersonics beat LA Lakers 103-89. All right,
they're not even there anymore.
1995, during the Palestine-Israel conflict, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated by an extremist Israeli, and I wonder if he was a Zionist. If this extremist Israeli was a Zionist, and if this guy was not, that would explain why they got rid of him. So, 96, British girls group the Spice Girls released their debut album Spice, went on to sell 23 million copies. All right, yeah, we all know about Spice Girls.
I know the name, I don't know their music.
I don't know their music either, but I've heard of them.
I've heard of the name.
Scary Spice, Ginger Spice, some other Spice, something.
Right there, you know more than me.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is that a little bit of a side tangent here. KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
They only follow.
They give you salt.
No, they only follow 11 people on Twitter, and it's the Spice Girls and a few people named Herb. Herbs and spices. 11 herbs and spices. That's their recipe. That's a serious thing. They legitimately they just randomly follow 2 or 3 whoever's named Herb and the Spice Girls. Like
herbs and spices.
That's hilarious.
That's what this needs. Salt.
Yeah.
God,
Rest in peace, John Panette. 2001, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first film adaptation of the book series by J.K. Rowling, starring Daniel Radcliffe, premiered in London. It was titled Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone and some other markets. I believe out here in the U.S. it was called the Sorcerer's Stone. So, for whatever reason.
You read pretty well all those books, didn't you?
I got about halfway through the series, and then
Huge one
the fourth
came out.
one came out, and I didn't want to spend my entire summer reading. I was a kid. I want to go outside and play.
Yeah.
Like
that was a huge book for kids to read.
Yeah, and then they got bigger, and I just quit. I stopped being a fan of that entire thing. I went and saw the movies a couple of times, with family because they wanted to see it. But I mean, when that big book came out, I couldn't give a flying F about Harry Potter anymore. I wanted a childhood, not just spend my life in a book. So, 2001, U.S. tennis star Serena Williams won the WTA Tour Championship in Munich, Germany, after Lindsay Davenport defaulted the final due to a knee injury. This was Williams' first season-ending title. Oh, just so happened to be by somebody getting injured. That seems a little,
Well, if they can't come out, then you're going to win.
Yeah, well, that seems like, some foul play was happening there. Maybe she injured her knee, or something to ensure the title. I don't know. 2002, Chinese authorities arrested cyber dissident He Depu for signing pro-democracy letter to the 16th Communist Party Congress. That would do it. You don't want to do anything against the party in China. So, the people need to rise up, though. They need to figure it out. 2003, former HealthSound CEO Richard Scrushy became the first person indicted under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, only to be acquitted. And if anybody can look this up, I'm just gonna.
I should know it. I know that well, and I can't.
You've heard about this?
Yes, Sarbanes-Oxley.
Huh.
Yeah.
It's a U.S. federal law that mandates certain practices in financial record keeping and reporting for corporations. Well, of course, you have to know about it. You own a corporation. And Corporate and Auditing Accountability, Responsibility, and Transparency Act in the House, more commonly called Sarbanes-Oxley, SOX, or SARBOX, contains 11 sections that place requirements on all U.S. public company boards of directors and management and public accounting firms. A member of provisions of the Act also apply to privately held companies, such as the willful destruction of evidence to impede a federal investigation. Yeah, that's a no-no.
Yeah.
So whoever this guy was, obviously he must have done something, but justice is blind, deaf, and greedy. So, whoever has the bigger pockets, gets found not guilty. So, yep, that's why he got acquitted. 2003, the most powerful solar flare as observed by satellite instrumentation was recorded.
Ooh.
So, good thing it didn't hit us.
Missed us, I guess.
I
That's
remember hearing, every now and then there's solar flares that could, fry everything, but they're, just
go the other way.
A different side of the sun or whatever. 2004, 12 French soldiers, 3 UN personnel, and hundreds of civilians died during the Côte d'Ivoire Civil War. Never heard about that Civil War, but, yeah.
In 2004, huh?
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's weird. 2004, the Côte d'Ivoire Civil War. 2008, U.S. Deftones bassist Chi Sheng, at the age of 38, suffered serious injuries in an automobile crash in Santa Clara, California, as a seatbeltless passenger, dying 4.5 years later. Wear your seatbelts.
Yeah.
So. 2008, here we go. Barack Hussein Obama became the first mixed ethnic. He's not black, he's not white, he's a little bit of both. Just because his skin is darker does not mean he's mixed, dude. He has a black father and a white mother or something like that, right? He's mixed. He's not black. But the first mix to be elected president of the United States, defeating Republican candidate John McCain.
Now, what does the article actually say? First black president? Or
first African American, which doesn't say shit because Elon Musk is African American and he's whiter than me.
Yeah.
So this doesn't even say that he's black still. So technically they're on my side with this saying, but whatever. Anyway, 2010, Qantas Flight 32, an Airbus A380, suffered an uncontained engine failure over Indonesia shortly after taking off from Singapore, crippling the jet. The crew managed to safely return to Singapore, saving all 469 passengers and crew. So hey, how about that? It started. You thought I was going to talk about a horrible disaster, but it was averted.
They saved it.
Yeah, every now and then we get like a breath of fresh air on this show, and it's really nice.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we have some bad things coming up. 2012, Syrian rebels captured a major oil field in Deir ez-Zor governorate. So now they got oil. 2014, the body of the last missing victim was found on board the wrecked Costa Concordia during its dismantling in Genoa. Remember that idiot drunk captain freaking crashed an entire cruise ship and it like came over on its side?
Oh yeah.
That was a Costa Concordia.
Oh, is that what it was?
And they had to literally just dismantle it like piece by piece because it was just there's no way to float it back and it was leaking and all sorts of problems But yeah, this is when they found the last body of the last missing person, so everybody's accounted for. So that was a tragedy. I hope they tortured the hell out of that captain. So 2014 as well, the U.S. voted in midterm elections. Republican retained the House and regained the Senate. Yay! So. 2014, Tim Scott became the first black senator in the South since Reconstruction. Wow.
Tim Scott is a really smart guy, good politician.
Yeah, well, of course he is. He's a Scot.
That's right.
Yeah. One of us. 2014, Ukraine President Petro Poroshenko ordered army reinforcements to key southern and eastern cities to combat potential rebel offensive. So this was the guy that we ousted out. He was pro-Russian, and then we brought in what's his face, Vladimir Zelensky, right? He's our puppet.
Nah,
Zelensky.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome back, good Sir King, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but you have quite an awful article to read, or I can read it if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
2015, Justin Trudeau, the son of Fidel Castro, was sworn in as Canadian Prime Minister with the cabinet split equally between men and women. So, what a coincidence. Justin Trudeau and friggin', Barack Hussein Obama share, a swearing in thing or whatever, or not a swearing in, but this is when he got elected and this is when he got sworn in. So, awful. Gross, disgusting. Blech. Katy Perry became the highest paid musician of the year, earning $135 million according to Forbes magazine. Okay, whoop-de-doo. What do we got here in 2015?
2015 plane crashes after takeoff from Juba International Airport, South Sudan, killing 31. 1-year-old survives in father's arms.
Oh,
wow.
Man.
At least he lived, but like.
What they don't say is if the father survived.
No.
No.
Obviously died. Killing 37, a 1-year-old survived in father's arms. So I guess the father died. Otherwise, why else put that in here? Like, I don't know. One can hope that the father survived, but I'm not sure. I really doubt it. But, what else?
Romanian Prime Minister Victor Ponta announces his resignation after protests over Bucharest nightclub fire that killed 32.
Remember when politicians actually stepped down over not so crazy stuff? Like, something that seems small and trivial by today's standards. Like, this guy, a prime minister, stepped down because of fire, that killed 32 people, yeah. But, I mean, that's not, like, something majorly crazy, like, international incident. Yeah. That today they don't even step down over that crap. Like, something like this, a prime minister stepped down. Where is the integrity anymore? And that was only 9 years ago. What else do we got here? 2016, a Paris Agreement on climate change became effective. And it's telling me to look that up, but for sake of time, I'm just going to challenge our viewers to look that up. Let us know in the comments section. 2017, Lebanese Prime Minister Saad Hariri resigned in a shock TV broadcast from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, amid concerns he was being forcibly detained. So that's some trickery and whatnot is happening over there. 2017 as well, Museum of Modern and Contemporary Art in Nusantara opened in Jakarta with items from the collection of Indonesian tycoon Haryatso Adiakosimo. Cool. Saudi Arabia arrested 11 princes and other ministers on corruption charges, including billionaire investor Prince Al-Walid bin Talal. Good. I hope they actually face some consequences for once. 2019 the largest mass communication or commutation, the largest mass commutation. Okay, yeah. In U.S. history, when 462 non-violent inmates were freed from Oklahoma prisons as part of state prison reforms. I'm pretty sure they were not non-violent. You know, like, as we know, like, our system has been releasing all the violent criminals, making sure that there's plenty of crime and all this horrible stuff. You know, because when everything's gone to hell, people will vote for the next Hitler to make sure that the trains will run on time. That's exactly what, certain politicians, or maybe even both sides, are hoping on. So, 2019 as well, we have a major investigation found unsafe lead levels in 11 Canadian cities between 2014 and 2018, mostly due to antiquated pipes. So, yeah, they haven't...
It's not good.
No, it's not. We got another 2019, if you want to take this.
9 members of the U.S. Mexican Mormon family, including 6 children, shot and killed in an attack by a criminal gang in North Mexico.
Yeah.
Wow.
Shot up their van and killed them all.
Yep. Moving on up.
2020 Ethiopian Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed orders military offensive and state emergency in northern region of Tigray amid fears of civil war.
And we have off a main source here, 2020, the Tigray Wars began when Tigrayan rebels launched attacks on Ethiopian command centers, so a little too late.
Yeah.
Whoops-a-doodles.
Yeah.
And we got this one here. This is an eyebrow raiser.
2021 albino activist Overstone Kondo is sworn in as Malawi's first prime minister with albinism.
All right, so first albino person. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And we have one more here.
2022 astronomers announced discovery of the closest known black hole to Earth, just 1,600 light years away, 10 times more massive than our sun.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
It's pretty close.
yeah. I hope it goes away. Like, and that will conclude the show. Once again, please check the underbar description below for any links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. A lot of history has and continues to be made on a daily basis. We can only bring you a portion. Please check our sources. We have 3 sources for history. For your dose of past events daily, we stream every day at 11 in the morning Pacific Time, 12 noon Mountain, 1 Central, and 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. We do have other shows from history to news, movie reactions and reviews, gaming videos and memes, on the kitchen, and everything else in between on Talk Show. Check the underbar. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander.
King's Refuge.
Golden Loon.
And you, viewer, are you. Thank you very much for watching. Before I sign out, I want to read what Pete's here said. About 6 years and a couple months after that story in Syria was the Battle of Konoko Fields, also in Syria, where Wagner Group fucked around and found out with some U.S. Army Special Forces. Those Wagners. I remember the Wagners. But yeah, until you catch us next time, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs and subscribe. Toodles!